Okay, hello world, and welcome back to part two of the Brothers Blue podcast. With that being said, this is our initial conversation about education because this will probably again be a topic that we have more than one discussion about. Um, and so we left off on part one with the infographic thing that was the circles. And it was basically all of the benefits that education can offer. And so there's actually a point to the last one that Kyle wants to circle around to one of the beginning points. And that's the thing about it is it's all circular. It's like it all just makes sense and all goes together. So with that being said, that's Brother Kyle.
And that is Brother Cody. And yeah, so again, to overuse the term and beat it to death, education is ubiquitous
Exactly. Yeah.
and circular. So the last one that we were talking about was increases crop yields and like
Yeah.
how it's like, yeah, let's just use science to make our lives better.
Yeah.
And that it goes into literally the first circle that you were
Right.
talking about, which was makes people healthier. And it's like yeah, like how do you do that? You do it with science, nutrition, and like yeah. So
Exactly.
it comes full circle, which is funny because the infographic that you shared was just circles. So yeah, but let's without further ado, with that being said, get into your notes on the videos because you didn't actually write any notes about the one video
No.
that I really liked. Yeah.
No. So I really just wrote down the key points to each video. And so the one that I wanted to start out with addresses problems in the current educational system that we are dealing with today. And so the first one is industrial age values. And the way to expand on that is just something I think we've talked about is we have an industrial model of education and we are still implementing that in a post-industrial world. So it doesn't make sense or fit or do the job it's supposed to do.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that I have to sort of be complacent, I guess,
Yep.
or complicit.
Yep.
Um, and uh, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. It's like
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
Teachers,
complicit in that.
well, and teachers have no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys don't have any, yeah. So I know that. All right, so let's go through this quickly because I have a lot of stuff to say. Lack of autonomy. That's it. The point that they make there is on the student's side. The student, and that's true. A student goes to school and they follow rule after rule after rule after rule. How is that giving someone autonomy?
I am incredibly lucky, and we've talked about this.
Oh yeah.
I have class sizes that are like 10. I have days where there are like 6 students in my classroom.
And so
I
in
have a pretty
proper
personal relationship with them. They're not, they have autonomy in my classroom.
in proper educational settings, autonomy is achieved by students. Yeah. So or ideally, right?
Yes, exactly. Like
Yeah.
I'm not deciding who they are.
Yeah, exactly. Um, in authentic learning, this actually is kind of a point that we talked about off camera. Is like it kind of goes into the style of learning, and so like inauthentic learning talks about like just trying to apply learning styles to people that it doesn't fit with.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, and this goes into a point that we'll get into later is the um yeah, like how do you teach history or math?
Right.
Yeah, to somebody who can't sit down for 30 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. But that's a point we'll get into later. Yeah.
Well, if we don't, the point is that different subjects, yeah, interdisciplinary,
Yeah.
require different methods of teaching.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to deliver a lesson on calculus that is inquiry based. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, another current problem that is brought up in that video is that there's no room for passion, and I think this is actually a good salient point because, yeah, I see
Yeah,
the look on your
no,
face. You agree?
because yeah, no, yeah. I have students who are engaged, but I also have students that are completely disengaged. So I get
Right.
it. That
Yep.
it's the spectrum. Like,
Yeah. Oh man, my phone's running low on battery. That sucks.
but again, like the no room for passion thing is I try to create space for passion. That is the
Nice.
that
Good.
you know,
Again, that's ideal.
yeah,
That's ideal for a learning environment is creating room for passion.
yeah.
Um, and so another or the next point that is brought up in that one is how we learn, and this goes back to something that we did talk about. But yeah, people having different learning styles is so profound and important in my opinion from
Uh,
my experience as an educator. I know that people learn in very different ways,
yeah.
and it's like almost one of the most unique things I've ever seen exhibited in humans.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, but this goes into again the problem. Like that's the problem is
Yes, yep, yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of our current educational models rely on that sort of rote memorization and things like that. So, yeah.
They don't take into the fact the people that learn it differently.
Yeah, there needs to be a paradigm shift, and it's important for people in the field to like recognize that and try to work to make the actual change that needs to be made. Yeah,
Yep, exactly. And that's where I feel like good teachers are actually putting in hard work to make a difference. And that's where they are not being appreciated.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
sucks. So the last point is lecturing. Let's not go over that one.
Let's not
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
again, like, yeah, I, I could lecture all day.
Right, exactly. And I had
2 hour lecture. Yeah.
I had an icebreaker question one time as a teacher, and it was like, what could you give a 30-minute presentation on and talk about for 30 minutes? And so for me, yeah, it's two things either the Lakers dynasty
Uh-huh.
or uh, the cell and its 13 organelles and their functions.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for me, the one thing is, and I told you about this before, and I won't get into it, but it's the Spanish American War. It's
Is
just
that?
there's so many things. Like I could literally just go off forever about the
Yeah.
Spanish American War.
But you also know that's how the Lakers dynasty is. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so it starts in the 50s with Jerry West, the guy who's the logo.
One for even for a guy who's not like, yeah. One of my as a historian, I love like sports history and the also the fact that like it's like there were sports in ancient civilizations and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but like sports culture is pretty American, and
Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Which kind of goes,
I mean, it's global now, and like
yeah.
soccer and basketball and
We
like
were having the conversation about basketball the other night. Like Canada and Serbia
yeah,
and France
exactly.
are like really, really good
Or
basketball teams.
France, yeah,
Dude, they have Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. So,
exactly. And
all right.
don't they have Embiid? Isn't Embiid a Frenchman?
He played for, so he's from, I think, Cameroon, which is, I think, a French colony. And he decided to play for the United States because he could have chosen, actually, which is weird. He has dual
Oh yeah.
citizenship. Yeah, right. I know sports.
Well, and I know how dual citizenship works. So yeah,
I
and
know
no,
sports.
that's a big decision. That's a big decision.
It was a big thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. So the last one, I'm actually really glad that we left this for last because I think John Dewey's Principles of Education are really awesome. And the video that we watched is, um, I didn't say this to you yet, but I think it is a mini version of a philosophy of education. And by that, I mean, it's essentially what this guy is saying a good education should have or
yeah.
like consist of.
Just so you know, and like for the nerds out there, John Locke did the same thing. Like, dude went hard and wrote a lot about education. I feel bad that I don't know the like specific title, but yeah, like
Right.
that was one
Now,
of his big things is like, and what's funny is like he didn't have kids and he didn't like kids, but he liked the idea of being a good parent. Like, yeah, I don't
so
know.
I'm going to do some more research about John Locke.
Yeah,
But the John Dewey's principles of learning, it's just four. So that also, I like that it's short, you know,
yeah.
a simple no would have done.
Well, no, I had to go back, and even the video, it's like it's right there. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
So learning by doing, that's like literally kind of what you were saying is about like science. Like, dude, my favorite experiment was extracting DNA from a strawberry. It
Yeah.
looks like jizz. It's weird. It looks like literally looks like human cum.
One on another, just like totally different, dude. I loved shop class with Mr. Wynn at Roosevelt. Like, dude,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
built the second fastest rock, or they we built CO2 cars. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we built CO2. My car got second place.
Yeah. Mine sucked. Right. I remember.
Uh, but that's thing is like you learn that's learning by do like I remember building stuff in that class and it was like yeah.
I
This
didn't
goes
even.
into the interdisciplinary thing is that like
Nope.
I like the idea. No, is that
No, that's like number four. So let's not go there. Yeah.
okay?
All right. So learning by doing, I wasn't even thinking about this, but my personal experience is I would, and you said Mr. Win shop class. I guarantee you, Dan Doran would also remember going to pottery with me and that's the thing is like, I took pottery for 4 years. That was entirely learning by doing. There was not any like, it's not like, oh, I guess technique is taught to you. Technique is taught, but it's not, again, it's not like calculus where you sit down and learn it, you know.
There probably wasn't a book for the class. Was yeah, there might have been. Was there?
Never. Never? No.
Exactly.
Of course not.
Why would there be?
Right,
There's a
exactly.
book for shop class, like yeah.
So learning by doing is his first thing, and we got to go down a fun memory lane and talking about how we actually got to do that in person. So that was fun.
Dude,
Number two is discussion. And so like this is the thing about it is you brought it up earlier, I think, and like that's how democracies work is through discussion
or
and
like
like
making decisions based on reasonable arguments is what I
yes.
said.
Yep.
And I, to be totally honest, um, yeah, that's nice. It's a nice idea.
Uh,
I don't feel like I've achieved a whole lot through discussion. Like, yeah,
okay. Fair.
yeah. I'm just trying to think about like I was looking at the word and I was like discussion. Well, and like thinking about my own education also is that like I don't think I've been in a whole lot of classroom settings where like a disc except for like that's what's crazy is I have a class right now that almost insists on having discussion during every lesson. Like I'll bring up a point, I'll bring up a slide, and they'll be like, let's talk about this, let's talk about this, let's talk about this, let's talk about this, which is
Yeah.
great. They're like engaged, but
Right.
it's novel.
Right. So it's off the lesson. Yeah.
It's just kind of catching me off guard. Like I'm all for it, but like again, it's novel and like I just yeah. Do you have much experience with discussion?
No, so that what I was gonna say is like that doesn't make sense, but that's not what I was meaning. Is like it just it's like why yeah. So like I said, it sounds like it's just interrupting the lesson for no reason.
Oh, and yes, sometimes it is.
Yeah.
That being aware of your audience and knowing how to
Oh
deal.
yeah.
Yeah, because I have a dude, I have as a teacher in Arizona, we are strictly um scrutinized and if I don't follow the curriculum very closely
Right.
and get if I don't get through what I need to get through in a day, like yes, they are like it is slowing it down. I'm totally down to have conversations about like again, like the Protestant Reformation, how Catholic or like yeah, all
So
that.
I guess what
But
I would say I guess what I'd say to finish this point is that like that's why is so in real life, yeah. So I was going through this lesson and like I had this girl try to assert a flat earth opinion and it was like I'm not trying to hear a flat earth opinion from a 7th grader. So let's move on. I think it was while I was teaching like plate tectonics, so it's like, come on, man. Uh,
I generally give a content warning at the beginning of that lesson where I talk about the Apollo 11 mission to
yeah.
like that happened in history. It was a thing.
So
It didn't happen if the earth is flat. So
right, and
again,
yeah, and
I
so
start my lesson by saying, like, guys, content warning, we're not on the internet. We're not going to have a debate about flat earth and all that stuff. Just listen to what I have to say and this know that this is from the textbook.
right, yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's great.
Like
Because
pontificate
it,
or add any, I just say what it says.
yeah, right, and it's like, oh yeah, that's indoctrination. Sorry. right?
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
It's so disappointing. Yeah.
So the last point I'll make on this is people call it the flat earth debate. And it's like, no, it's not a debate. There's one side that's wrong, and there's one side that's right. And so it's not a debate.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I like John Dewey's uh, outlook because it's very positive. And so the third principle is interactive. And so I really like that. And this again goes back to like you talked about the two types of learning. It's inquiry based and what else?
Direct instruction.
Right. And so science is generally inquiry based,
Yeah.
and that's very
Math.
interactive.
Sorry. Math and history are direct, like, sorry, it's just like, it's going to be pretty hard to, yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just
I'll
saying.
make that point again. I'm sorry.
No, and so like if you want to bring it and actually that brings up his next point. Let's get to it. Interdisciplinary. So the next point is interdisciplinary, and that's where everything comes full circle. Because, and actually, I love this because I'm going to bring it back. You talked about loving basketball history.
Yeah.
That's like loving scientific history. Like
Yes.
it's a specific type of history. Yeah.
When I'm teaching about Newton and Galileo and all this,
Yeah, dude.
like I am like thinking about how I can do lessons that merge with the science teacher, or this actually goes into what I'm just gonna merge it. Dude, one of the big things that I think right now is media literacy. And this is a lesson that one of my favorite people in the world, Lori Gillespie, teaches an entire lesson on. And I mention it briefly, like I go over it somewhat, but like I'm not just a history teacher, I'm a social studies teacher. So
Yeah.
I should be concerned about
Right.
things like media literacy and whatnot. But like
Correct.
I don't go into it as hard as she's an ELA teacher. English language arts. So like obviously she does like a whole lesson on it and whatnot,
Of
which is
course.
ironic because it's her.
Doesn't mean, yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not important for history or social studies teachers as
It's
well. Yeah.
very important for us.
It's
Yeah.
very, right.
Because like I try to or share a lot of primary sources with my students. I literally
Good.
show the speech where JFK is talking about going to the moon. That is what we as historians call a primary source. It's literally a speech. Him giving one of the most famous speeches of all time. He's like, we're gonna not because it's easy, because it's hard. Yeah. Like, yeah. And so I try to I'm constantly talking mostly to my science and my the English ELA teacher.
Right.
Math is one of the hardest interdisciplinary things to do ever.
For social studies, math is the easiest for
With
science.
Yeah. God damn
Yep.
it. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. It's so weird
Nope. You're totally right. You're totally right.
because it's the same way for history and ELA. Yes.
And what sucks is I talked about sports history, but science history is one of my. I've talked to you about this. Science and religion are two of my favorite aspects of history, and it's like they're whole different thing. Yeah.
So I think good arguments can be made for both ELA and history as being the better counterdisciplinary to science. Again, because like the history of science, there's that. And then ELA, being able to articulate the science and the data is paramount.
Yeah. One of the videos that you sent me was
I'm articulate.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh God. Let's
Yeah.
not.
Yep. Right.
One of the videos that you sent me was about how like science needs math to explain it numerically,
Yes. Right. Yep.
yell like language arts to explain it like verbally, the arts, just the arts to express it like visually.
Dude,
And it's
I
like,
had
oh,
such
that's
great scientific artists in
interdisciplinary.
my classroom. It was crazy.
What?
I had such great scientific artists in my classroom. These girls,
Yeah.
sorry, I have to admit it was all girls,
Uh-huh.
but their science journals would be like works of art.
That is so cool. Like,
Yeah,
I would love to see those. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were phenomenal.
Yeah. That would be cool. All right. We're about out of time. So, with that being said,
Knowledge is power.